Hi.
Wait, how do we got this far? Excuse me everyone, let's get back to the beginning, shall we? Drama performance has long existed, and it is reported that it was developed since the time of the ancient Greeks. Drama was performed in the open-air theater during special occasions, and these performances, also known as plays, can be classified into tragedy play, comedy play, and satire play. Considerably, the tragedy plays were the most popular and more preferable than others. Drama is not only an entertaining performance, but also an intellectual approach to educate the audience. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, had formulated main components of tragedy play that make it educative to the audience. In this video, we are going to focus on one main component, which is the main character or tragic hero in tragedy play. Aristotle had concluded in his book called Poetic 3 elements that define tragic hero. Firstly, a tragic hero eventually is a good person and extraordinary in some way, but still relatable. Secondly, a tragic hero has a particular fatal flaw, also known as hamartia, something like excessive pride or hubris. Thirdly, because of that fatal flaw, the tragic hero has made some fatal mistake that leads to disaster and downfall. Let's take an example from the Greek tragedy play called Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. A story of a powerful and wise man named Oedipus who was trying to escape the disastrous prophecy won by an oracle that he will kill his own father and marry his own mother. However, he mistakenly doing what he tried so hard to avoid out of ignorance, and at the end of the story, due to his own desperation, he gouged out his own eyes until he's blind and lived as a homeless man. The tragic hero Oedipus was a powerful and wise man at the beginning, but because of his excessive pride drove him to think that he could prevent his dire fate, but he undeniably caused it to happen. Now, let's move forward to the next time period when drama progressively developed in Western European societies, the Renaissance period. It is a rebirth era for Western civilization as they departed from the Dark Ages, the previous medieval period, and strive to achieve greater transformation for their civilization, economy, culture, and knowledge. In fact, the literature genres, especially Western drama, has flourished significantly. The genius playwright from this time period, William Shakespeare, had written famous and amazing plays that are still being admired and remain relevant until these days. In fact, Shakespearean tragedy plays were influenced by the element of ancient Greek tragedies, but Shakespearean tragedies are quite different from the ancient Greeks. In this video, we will focus on one of the famous Shakespearean tragedy plays called Macbeth. Macbeth is a story set in Scotland during the 17th century centered around a tragic hero named Macbeth, a noble warrior who had heard a prophecy by 3 witches who predicted that he will be promoted as the Thane of Cawdor and later become the new king of Scotland. He wondered to what extent the truth behind that prophecy until he really was being promoted as Thane of Cawdor by the King of Scotland himself, King Duncan, due to his success winning the battle fighting their foes. Despite the possibility that the prophecy seemed believable and it may happen eventually, Macbeth was still doubting. Later, when he shared the news of his promotion and the prophecy to his wife, Lady Macbeth, she was full with the ambition to make sure that her husband surely will become the new king no matter what it takes, even if it meant to kill King Duncan, and that was what she ordered her husband to do. Macbeth initially disagreed with her plan, but she had persuaded him to get the job done. At last, Macbeth had killed the king unnoticeably, and the others discovered the horrible murder without knowing the culprit. Although Macbeth and his wife managed to lie and hide their crime, Macbeth's friend Banquo suspected Macbeth for killing Duncan so he could gain his throne. Macbeth was terrified and bothered that he would be caught. So he acted out of his fear by convincing two hired killers to murder Banquo and his son, Fleance. Banquo was finally being killed, but his son escaped. Macbeth's concern still did not subside as he was hunted by Banquo's ghost in his palace. Even though that was only his hallucination, he was becoming more stone-hearted and less remorseful for what he had done. While Lady Macbeth was unable to handle the guilt she felt for what she had done and also hallucinated that her hands were still covered in blood, no matter how much she washed them. At last, she ended her own life as she could not stand her own guilt and madness. Macbeth hired more killers to murder other people who fought against him, including their family. Macduff, another noble warrior who was loyal to King Duncan, mourned upon his family that were being killed. So he, along with King Duncan's son, Malcolm, together raised up their armies to fight against the traitorous Macbeth. Macbeth's warring ambition to secure his position as the king had caused his ego to grow as he convinced himself that he is unstoppable. However, his ego brought him to his downfall as he lost his fight against Macduff and was killed at the end. This Shakespearean tragedy is more than a dark story full of horrible murders, hunting nightmares, and witchcraft. It teaches a great lesson about the danger of hubris, or in our modern day, it is known as arrogance combined with overconfidence. It is also referred to the excessive pride that leads a person to act imprudently without common sense. The theme centered around hubris also can be found in modern fiction, such as in the novel published in 1818, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This novel tells a story about a young scientist named Victor Frankenstein who was obsessed with doing an experiment resurrecting human corpses from the dead. He was arrogant and proud of himself due to his attempt to play God by creating a new life with his scientific knowledge. Unfortunately, his experiment result that was supposed to be a perfect human turned out to be a hideous monster that Victor himself disgusted. From these three tragic stories, although they come from different eras, they have bring the same vital message for us. Hubris brings danger to humans' morality. Overconfidence with their own abilities, excessive pride driven by extreme ambition, or even act single-mindedly, and arrogance have led these characters to become morally corrupt. Even worse, they were responsible for their awful action and had to suffer terrible consequences. Indeed, these tragedies are impactful because they are able to evoke the fear and pity in ourselves as the audience. We feel fear of falling into catastrophe like those tragic characters, and at the same time we feel pity upon the downfall those tragic characters had to endure. Tragedies are able to make us engage in catharsis, the feeling of relief and emotional purification as we start to reflect and contemplate the rights and the wrongs of our actions. Also to realize the importance of humility and self-consciousness. This is how we as modern society are being educated through drama.